Welcome to Dream Pushers. We connect you with Web3's vanguard, creators and entrepreneurs shaping the future. Hosted by Chris Jonu and presented by Draper University.
I want to quickly mention that none of this is investment advice or financial advice, trading advice, or any sort of advice. And we do not recommend any cryptocurrency or investing in any projects. We're just showcasing the stories of founders. Welcome back. Today we have a special guest, Hrish Lutleka. He is the co-founder and CEO of SuperWorld. It's a virtual world in augmented reality, almost like a digital twin of the existing world. It's a big mission, big plans. And this bio is just equally as impressive. Prior to that, he co-founded Rogue Initiative Studios, Hollywood-based film, TV, gaming, immersive entertainment studio in partnership with famous director Michael Bay. Held senior positions at TopTal, Spencer Trask Ventures, UBS Investment Bank, HSB Securities, and Hewitt Associates. So just all-around overachiever. Traveled the world, has these kind of incredible experiences and strong connections to multiple cultures. And you can see that kind of shine through in SuperWorld. And then lastly, holds a BA in political science from Rice University and an MBA and MPH from University of Illinois, Chicago. Hope you enjoy the interview as much as I did hosting it. Cheers. Hrish, welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm very excited to hear about the story about SuperWorld. But for those that may not know about what you're up to, could you give me the quick elevator pitch?
Yeah, sure. I'm co-founder and CEO of SuperWorld. SuperWorld's a virtual world mapped on top of the real world in augmented reality. So it's all around us. We're in it right now, and we empower anyone to create, discover, and monetize anything anywhere. So you can create any type of content and put it anywhere in the world in augmented reality. And also we've integrated Web3 into that. So we've mapped the surface of the earth and divided the planet into 64 billion plots of virtual real estate that you can buy and own as NFTs.
So this is big, Hrish, and I want to get into SuperWorld and how the audience can engage and get started, and same with me, right? I'm really keen to get involved and buy some land and have a play. But before we do that, could I just go back a little bit and get a little bit of your background, a little bit of context for the audience, and where does your entrepreneurial journey start?
Yeah. So again, my background is I was born in India, grew up in the United States, went to Rice University in Houston, grad school in Illinois. I started off my career in management consulting and then ended up on Wall Street, investment banking. I started off in real estate investment banking of all places. So it's funny how life turns out. We were building in the category of virtual real estate, but I started off in the traditional real estate finance world in investment banking at UBS in New York. Got into venture capital, did venture capital for a number of years in New York, and then had this crazy idea, which was, wouldn't it be cool to start a venture capital fund somewhere in the emerging market? So I ended up going out to Eastern Europe for just a trip. I didn't know anyone, but I thought it would be kind of a great idea to go out there and check it out. So I went to Ukraine, Russia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Moldova. It took me about a year and a half, but ended up starting a venture capital fund out there backed by an investor named Victor Pinchuk, who's one of the largest investors in that part of the world. It did that. It got involved in a fund in Belarus, then was early at TopTal, which is a talent marketplace backed by Andreessen Horowitz. It's one of the fastest growing talent marketplaces in the world. So learned a lot about growing platforms. And then that's how I kind of started my entrepreneurial journey. I ended up co-founding Rogue Initiative Studios, which is a film, television, gaming, and virtual reality studio in Hollywood. My co-founder had produced Call of Duty, Modern Warfare series, and Ghosts, and my production partner is Michael Bay, the action director. And so at Rogue Initiative, what we do is we build franchises, feature film, television, gaming, virtual reality, all the way to amusement park rides and toys. And that's how I got into the AR VR space, because Rogue Initiative is backed by all the top AR and VR venture capital funds in Silicon Valley and globally. And what ended up happening was, coming from that space, I saw what Pokemon Go did. So Pokemon Go came out about 6 years ago, became this huge worldwide sensation. And my co-founder and I for SuperWorld had worked together previously on the YouTube platform. And we saw this happen with Pokemon Go. And that was how we had come up with the idea to start SuperWorld, which was how can you empower anyone to build anything anywhere? And how could you empower anyone to build a virtual world on top of the real world? And that was the start of the journey with SuperWorld. But, Rogue Initiative was the prior company that kind of helped me get into cross-platform entertainment. And then just being early at TopTal, an early employee, helped me get a lot of foothold into kind of startups and doing that after being a venture capitalist for a number of years.
Can I ask, Chris, because this sounds like such an incredible life you've had, buddy. Is it just like waking up and just saying, this is what I plan to do now? I mean, I kind of get this vibe from you, like really positive energy. Can you just tell me about how was like being so successful in like these various industries? Is it just a matter of what's been interesting you at that time? And can you just talk a little bit about, I guess, life philosophy, buddy?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I definitely have a very positive mentality. It's something I really try to maintain. I guess I've always had this strong notion that I always wanted to do things that I love, and always had this very, I guess, confidence in pursuing things if I had the right intentions and had this kind of joy and passion towards something. And that's always kind of what's guided me in my career, even from the very beginning. And I think that definitely holds true. I think I mentioned earlier, I live very globally, nomadically, kind of live in different places around the world every year. And so SuperWorld isn't something just that I'm loving to build. I really believe in our mission, really believe in, I love the world. I love cultures and people. So again, it definitely is my passion. Very grateful for the opportunity to build a company like SuperWorld. And again, I can go more into kind of the mission at SuperWorld. But to your question, for me, it's about pursuing things that you really enjoy and having, I guess, the confidence that it'll be okay if you just go after things that you really want to do and that you're passionate about.
And does that so probably a perfect segue to the mission and of SuperWorld actually, right? Is that where it starts for you? Just like something super ambitious that like is going to change the world in a positive way?
Yeah, again, with SuperWorld, we came from this kind of immersive background, and I saw the power of what one can do as linear entertainment and interactive entertainment were coming together, and the opportunity to be able to create content in engines like Unreal Engine and Unity Engine and others that gave this opportunity to create this type of content. In terms of SuperWorld, really, it was this kind of interest in kind of giving people the freedom to create, the freedom to have an opportunity to see the world, experience things, even if they weren't able to travel. No idea about COVID. This was before we started SuperWorld in 2017. So some of the trends in the last couple of years have made what we have been building even more understandable to a lot of people, why virtuality is so important. But really, I guess for us, it started off as for me, this interest in giving people the tools to create and discover, which is something that I've always really loved personally, just in my travels.
And so moving forward, I guess, into the SuperWorld business and what you're up to now, the concept is that it's a better version of the real world, correct?
The concept is essentially that you have the ability to create, discover, and monetize anything, anywhere around you in the real world. And so do I, and so does anyone else. And there's an infinite number of filters on the world. By enabling you to have that ability to, again, create, discover, and monetize, you have the ability to do lots of things, experience things that you might not be able to go to physically, to experience something in a more improved way. If you are there, if you're at an event and you're able to access information in augmented reality and see things that help you further contextualize a scene or a place you're at, the ability to monetize anything, anywhere. So how do you, again, utilize these technologies to build a livelihood? How do you educate people using this technology? Are there ways to, again, bolster not-for-profit causes? or things that are very important in the world that, again, that we could leverage this technology to do. So I think the idea is that we want to enable anyone to add to their world and enhance their life in a variety of ways. And then very collectively, how can we leverage this technology to improve the world? So as an example, when you buy land in SuperWorld, we plant trees in the real world. We're partnered with the World Bank in the Caribbean for hurricane disaster relief. We're partnered with UNESCO. We do things like a month ago, we brought together 2 tribes in the Amazon jungle to create digital art in the Amazon, viewable from anywhere, that enable people to understand what's happening with issues like reforestation in the Amazon jungle and things like that. So I think that the platform, even at its early stages, we see the tremendous potential of leveraging this technology, Web3, immersive technologies, AI, to really, again, enhance people's lives.
Amazing. And I'd love to hear some of the stuff you kind of see happening now around like maybe life mimicking art or like city planning or something that's occurring virtually first. Can you talk about some of the cool things that are happening that are becoming real and possible because of SuperWorld?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of different projects, from things that are very commercial to things that are social impact causes. So on the commercial side, we've had artists who've created art for Miami Art Week and placed their art right inside convention centers or conference centers during that week, even if they weren't able to make it to the conference itself, right? So they could present their art and showcase their art from anywhere in the world, right in places where their fans and followers and prospective customers are. So that's an example of kind of utilizing augmented reality technology to, again, help an artist bring digital art or even physical art into locations, whether they're accessing them personally and they're able to come to Miami as an example, or they're able to do that very remotely. We've seen businesses like Custom House, which is a luxury club in New York and Miami, utilize NFTs and virtual real estate to sell lifetime memberships to their luxury club and really innovate utilizing this technology in their business model, enable people to utilize NFTs and to, as opposed to doing just a normal kind of membership plan, how do you enable someone to have a lifetime membership that they can resell? We did a 3D yacht at the Monaco Yacht Show that was visible from Monaco Harbor, that the buyer of the yacht gets access to the show and the real yacht in the future and other things. So the idea is that on the commercial side, there's a lot of opportunities to innovate business models, to enable people to showcase their work using immersive technology, using NFTs to become a stakeholder in the work that they're producing. And then also what we're doing with the virtual real estate, where you can actually become a key stakeholder in locations around the world. And then on the social cause side, again, as an example, we partnered with the World Bank in the Caribbean. So we worked with the not-for-profit disaster fighters, worked with artists in the Caribbean, and worked with the World Bank to create NFTs that could raise money for disaster relief, and literally had ambassadors of countries in the Caribbean selling and promoting NFT artwork. So that way we could, again, raise money for that region. And again, just an example of a not-for-profit, how a governmental kind of agency and countries themselves can get together utilizing this technology, utilizing virtual real estate, and can do it in a very, borderless way. And I think that's also something else that's, I think, very interesting, is when you have a platform that covers the surface of the earth, when you're able to beam content and put it in places, it's very powerful. I'll give you a more current example. The invasion of Ukraine is something that a lot of people still find hard to fathom, and to see all the destruction that we see that's happening there, and to be able to see that in potentially be able to see those images juxtaposed in your own city or in your own skyline is such a more powerful kind of dramatic way to understand what's happening over there. And so using augmented reality, we're able to take some of those images and allow people to put them in their own skylines to show people what's happening happening in Ukraine and understand the effects of that, to be able to raise money using NFTs. And there's a DAO for Ukraine DAO, that we've given money to as well. And so the idea is, again, how do we kind of leverage all these technologies for commercial uses, for uses that benefit individuals, whether they're creating artwork, for businesses, and for very strong social impact causes as well.
Really amazing, Hrish. Incredible work. And really love hearing the social impact stuff there in particular. Well, and the luxury goods stuff too. All it sounds exciting. As you're saying that, right? And as you have these moments in time, but with this kind of the digital overlay, do you almost see that it can become like a time capsule of sorts, and we're able to like almost travel time in future because that's documented?
Yeah, I think that is a definite use case of the technology. Is you can create an overlay, I can create an overlay, and a company, as an example, like National Geographic, that has a lot of content throughout time in different historical locations, right, can place that content in specific locations where their customers want to learn about the world, right? A city's historical department or agency or tourist agency can also put historical immersive type of content in places to showcase the history of a city or country or monument or whatever it is that they're showcasing. And so again, being able to have the ability to add any type of content, whether you're talking about a 2D image, whether you're talking about a 360 video, whether you're talking about WebGL, kind of a 3D environment viewable from your browser, VR, MR, AR. The possibilities are limitless because you really have that real ability to create. And so the use case of creating content that allows people to time travel or even travel into the future, right? To see maybe a skyline of a city like Beirut and what an architect would dream of the future of Beirut is something that we've partnered with UNESCO to work on as well. So the idea is that there's the opportunity to kind of visualize information around you, whether in the past or the future, and even create the future utilizing this technology. So can you have an architect build a building virtually first that everyone can see in the city, and then decide what their future skyline, what would they want it to look like, and be able to have some level of participation in that. So that's very exciting.
Absolutely. And going back a little bit, Christian, I imagine like this is such a massive undertaking. And, I know you said like, I think you said 2017 you started, but is it just a matter of putting this vision up, trying to create the tools and onboarding great artists and builders and architects and everyone, and then just letting them opening it to the world? So is it everything kind of coming to fruition, and like for you and you just back out of the way? How are you driving, I guess, product innovation and balancing, I guess, what the community wants? I don't really know how to articulate the question, I think.
No, I think that's very well said. We always say that we build SuperWorld together, and we call it Team SuperWorld. And essentially, the way the platform works is, again, as I said, anyone has the ability to create anything anywhere, and you can discover anything anywhere. And then you can own the real estate as well that allows you to be a stakeholder in those locations, be able to take actions that allow you to monetize those locations. And ultimately, what we're finding is that a lot of our super citizens, as we call them, have a lot of ideas, right? They have a lot of creativity, whether they're artists, they want to do art shows, or they want to showcase their art around the world. If they're musicians, they want to do concerts, right? If they're governments like Barbados, they want to build embassies and government buildings to provide services. If they're into sports, there's lots of things happening at the sports stadium or in the city. So literally what we're finding, which is really great, is people who get on the platform are very galvanized by the ability to create anything anywhere, and the ability to utilize a variety of tools to do so. And they also are very intent on the stories that they want to tell, the locations that they want to discover or tell those stories from. And so, back to your question, I think what we're trying to do is understand what our community wants to build. And our focus is really building out the tools for them to be able to build all of those things that they love, and to enable our real estate owners to create and develop the places that they have a strong interest in around the world. And that's the beauty of this, is regardless of anywhere in the world that you think of, someone finds that place special. And if you talk to someone from New York and you talk to someone from Indonesia, they're going to have 10 places that they love, and they're probably going to share maybe 3 or 4 of those places in common, right? There's a lot of places that, depending on where you grow up, where you spent time, you're going to find places that are important to you. And so for me and for SuperWorld and for Team SuperWorld, I think part of that is the exploration of understanding what people want, what stories they want to tell, and we want to make the tools to enable them to do that.
Very cool. And in terms of Web3, right, and you've touched on a few things around, the ownership and perhaps like the forestry and the ability to plant one in the metaverse and one in the real world, and maybe keeping track of that kind of thing. What have you found? Was Web3 always the intention? I'm just curious as to how that's morphed and how that's been beneficial and in kind of, I guess, adoption and your growth, and like you said, like novel business models that couldn't otherwise occur.
Yeah, so we got into Web3 pretty early. So we got into the NFT space about 4 years ago. So we've been very long-term oriented about what we're building. And we started SuperWorld 5 years ago as a virtual world, and we were looking at how we can integrate Web3 when the ERC 721 standard came out, and CryptoKitties really did an awesome job kind of proving that out. We were very excited and jumped in right after that. And so for us, Web3 is all about how do you build a community where everyone has the opportunity to very directly engage with their own customers, with their own community. How can you, again, create assets like NFTs that give people this kind of stakeholder relationship over the content they're producing, in our case as well, locations that they love in the world, or where they may have a business, or where they live, or places that they identify with. That's the opportunity. Is if the opportunity is the ability to be able to create content, to own that content, to monetize that content, go direct to your customers, have all the benefits of Web3, which is, authenticity, transferability, the ease of making transactions directly with your customers. And our focus in all of that is, how do we provide real world utility? So we really want to focus down into the use cases where someone can create an asset and be able to have some kind of long-term utility for that individual or business or for that community. And so some of the examples and the use cases I gave you are examples that we're really excited about, because this is still very early and we're experimenting, but it's really proven out that our users, brands, organizations, governments are very excited about using Web3 for these very practical use cases that help them have a real impact, either to themselves, their own lives, their own livelihoods, or their communities. And so, again, there's a variety of business models that are coming out of this, as we all know. I mean, it's happening at such a fast speed, the level of innovation. And at SuperWorld, we really want to leverage all of that and really kind of build this expansive platform that enables anyone to get involved in not only Web3, but AR and VR and AI and other aspects of blockchain besides just NFTs. So decentralized finance, governance, other aspects of really building a world. And that's our goal, again, is to build a virtual world that enhances people's real lives and builds a better world.
And I'm guessing also this would have been a big benefit to the business too, right? Is that not the business, I should say, like the project, right, is that by being kind of future forward thinking, particularly in the NFTs and Web3 stuff you're already building out, I mean, you must have just seen a massive growth, particularly when people start bringing their own communities to SuperWorld. And I guess some of them are quite substantial. That I guess it must have been a great validator for you as to, hey, we bet right. This is the way the world's moving. And now you're seeing the benefits of, like, I guess, network effects on platform, right?
That's right. It's really interesting. So when we got into the NFT space in 2018, CryptoKitties, as I mentioned, was a really great example of a project that had really showcased that standard. But much of the world, again, using the word NFT, people kind of really turned off, like you didn't understand what I was talking about, right? So back then, it was almost hard to use the word NFT if you really wanted to explain what you were doing. And I never realized or never thought that the world would change like it did, which last year in 2021, the word NFT became cool. Like you could actually use the word NFT and people would be very excited about it. So I think the messaging really has become a lot easier. So people definitely understand it. People understand what we're building in terms of building a virtual world on top of the real world. With Facebook's name change to Meta, that really kind of opened the world up to the concept of the metaverse and virtual world. So it's interesting how there were a number of shifts in the zeitgeist that really helped us with helping people understand more quickly what we were doing. And I would say that's still an evolution, right? So we're still in a bit of we're still, not completely mainstream yet in terms of what we're doing by far. I mean, there's still a very small percent of the population that's in NFTs or even crypto or Web3 or AR, VR. But I think that the speed at which it's being understood, the speed at which some of these technologies will be abstracted away and will just become part of our lives and will benefit from those things, I think are coming faster than we know. So I'm very excited about that. And we've seen it happen. I've experienced it. And it's all been obviously very positive. Our message at SuperWorld, and I think it's really helped the whole industry, which has been very exciting.
Agreed. And then just a bit of a random question, I guess, but for the audience, right? And I guess even it's kind of a self-indulgent question as well, but how do I get started, right? How do I get into SuperWorld? And do you recommend just getting there and having to play? Or I'm just thinking about, like, people that want to jump in, they don't know where to start, or they have the misconception that, hey, I need to be able to, like, create voxel art somewhere else and be able to upload it here, and I don't have the technical skills to get involved. What's your kind of message to the novice trying to get involved and get started in SuperWorld?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that there's a lot of ways to get involved with SuperWorld. So one, we're on the web, so you can find us at superworldapp.com. And once you get to SuperWorld, I often hear, and we find just from our user behavior, that SuperWorld really serves as this gateway to the metaverse. And the reason why that is a lot of people, as you aptly stated, don't completely understand how do they get into AR, VR, or Web3 or NFTs. That's a big kind of puzzle for people. But what they do know is they do know where they live. They know where they like going on vacation. They know where maybe they have a business or a store or where they grew up. They know these locations on Earth. So the one easy way to get in is you enter SuperWorld on the website. You connect a wallet, you put some Ethereum in your wallet, and then you can go and actually buy the places around the world that you love and the places that you're connected to, the places where, as I said, that you have some connection in the real world. And while you don't have to do that, because you also just download the mobile app. You could create content for free in SuperWorld. You can upload things from your camera roll and place them in real world locations. You can also go into our NFT salon and, using lazy minting for free, create NFTs and put those in geographic locations. What we find is that a lot of super citizens get their start by going and buying virtual real estate. And the reason why is now they're practically kind of have now gotten into Web3. They're starting to get an understanding of what Web3 is. It's owning digital assets. It's kind of having a stakeholder relationship and a platform. And then on top of that, now, the next step is they want to create AR content. They want to decorate the place where they're spending time, or a property that they have virtual real estate in, or they want to, again, create NFTs in those locations. So it kind of forms a kind of an interesting way for people to get in. But the short answer to your question, there's multiple ways to get in. No virtual real estate purchase required. You could just download the mobile app, create content, or you could create NFTs in the NFT salon. But like I said, the virtual real estate is where we see a lot of new users to the metaverse really get in and get really excited about what we're building.
Absolutely. Hrish, thank you very much for joining me. Love the conversation. Best of luck and continued success with SuperWorld. Love what you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure. And to your audience, I would say if anyone has questions about what we're building, questions about Web3 or AR, VR, any of these technologies, just reach out to us. We're really accessible. I'm at CEO at superworldapp.com. So if you want to reach me directly, or you can reach our company, outreach at superworldapp.com. We'd love to educate you. That's a very big part of kind of what we try to do, is educate people about all these technologies. And ultimately, we build the world together. So you really appreciate your community, and thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Awesome, man. Catch you soon.
See ya.
Thank you for joining Dream Pushers. Inspired. Subscribe and share. With dedication, craft your legacy. Push boundaries.